In the 3rd century BC, the Buddhist Emperor Ashoka of India issued a proclamation guaranteeing freedom of religion in his lands. And from that day to this, not a drop of blood has been shed in crusades or inquisitions to make converts to the Buddhist path. And Unitarians share this commitment to respect, tolerance for people of all faiths. There's no need to insist that one way is the only way or superior to all others. While Bankai was preaching to his followers, his talk was interrupted by a Shinsu priest who believed in miracles and thought salvation came by repeating holy words. Bankai couldn't go on with his talk, and he asked the priest what he wanted to say. "The founder of my religion," boasted the priest, "stood on one shore of a river with a writing brush in his hand. His disciple stood on the other shore holding a sheet of paper, and then the founder wrote the name of the holy Amida onto the paper across the river and through the air. Can you do anything so miraculous?" "No," said Bankai quietly. "I only do little miracles, like when I'm hungry, I eat. When I'm thirsty, I drink. When I'm insulted, I forgive." The Zen philosopher D.T. Suzuki once remarked on what he saw as the contradictions of most Western religion: man against God, God against man, man against nature, nature against man, man against God and nature. Very funny religion. We might use more inclusive language now, but it's the belief of Unitarians and Buddhists alike that life doesn't have to be a perpetual conflict, that the universe isn't a fundamentally bad place, that we can acknowledge pain and anxiety and loss and still be conscious of the delight, the marvel of being human. The Buddha told this parable. A traveler was running away from a tiger, and he ran till he came to the edge of a cliff, and he jumped off, holding onto the edge by his fingers. Above him, the tiger was snarling. Then he heard another snarl, and he looked down, and there was another tiger at the bottom of the cliff. So he was holding on to a vine there on this cliff when 2 mice came out of a crevice in the rock, a black mouse and a white mouse, and they started to gnaw at the vine. So here he was between 2 tigers, about to drop, and then he happened to glance to the side, and there was a vine growing out of another crevice, and on that vine there were grapes. He reached over, plucked a grape, and put it into his mouth. How delicious. The liberating message of Zen and Unitarianism alike is that life is sweet. It's meant to be savored, not rejected. It ought to be appreciated, not hurried through. It ought to be celebrated, not mourned in its swift, bright passing. The Zen tradition holds that the Buddha transmitted his teaching to his chief disciple by holding aloft a flower and then remaining quiet. To understand our faith, study the clouds over the Sangre de Cristos, listen to the wind rustling in the poplars, ask the Indian paintbrush where it gets its red. If they can't tell you, no one can.